you want to be somewhere around 60. That's the range. So you look at the food they have listed. And here's the problem. Different authors have different levels of it. But we know a rice cake is a rice cake is a rice cake. It's usually at the highest level. So anybody think the rice cake is a healthy food because it comes from a health food store? It's not. It's one of the worst foods you can eat. But, remember, health food stores are a business for making money. Right? They're no different than any other business.
Then what brown rice things were good for you because it reduces the inflammation in your body?
Brown rice is a good food.
But they make brown rice cakes in the health food store.
But it's no longer brown rice once it becomes a brown rice cake.
You process it. So they take out all of it.
You have fiber, you take a nutrient. So, we can give the thing. However, but remember, so say it has a really high glycemic index, you get that bad response we're talking about. So the question is there a food to counter it? So yes, what do you do to counter it? You use a huge slab of almond butter. Why is almond butter? A huge slab of almond butter on your rice cake. Why? It has fat predominantly and protein predominantly, with no sugars. So you get fat, protein, now you get sugar. So the idea is not saying, oh no, yes, the idea is, how do you combine that? If you really love a rice cake as your snack, what do you do to counter that so you don't get that insulin imbalance? You use fat. Now, if you just eat that out of the jar itself, you really have more carbohydrate fuel coming out of it. What do you do? Well, you can dunk a carrot stick in it. You can use some celery in it. You have an apple with it. Yes, whatever. So the idea is you always want to eat with a kind of ratio of protein, fat, and carbohydrates.
What are complex carbohydrates?
Would be anything coming out of your fruit and vegetable kingdom. Would be complex carbs. Simple carbs are usually your processed sugars. Right? Because the body takes these complex and they break them down to simple sugars for you to use. Fruits and vegetables, yams, potatoes, and then there's different categories within them of starchy vegetables versus non-starchy. And that's you don't have to know that stuff. The idea is basically trying to eat in combinations of protein, complex carbs, or sugars, another term, and fat.
Why are they high on the glycemic index?
Because they have a lot of sugar in them.
So you have to balance that with something else.
So you put another vegetable with it, like a broccoli. Plus, you're not going to eat a lot of carrots, right? You're not going to sit there and have 3 carrots in a meal. Generally, you mix carrots, just half a carrot sliced up, some broccoli, sugar snap peas, string beans, asparagus, right? You're probably going to use a little bit of some kind of oil and vinegar. So the oil itself acts as a fat to counterbalance that. If you steam a carrot, you'll get more sugar out of it than if you eat it raw. Because you break down its fiber content, and the sugar becomes more available. The raw carrot itself, take it, not giving enough of your time. So again, it's just looking at combinations and getting in the general vicinity. The idea I'm trying to put across is, if you have a very small meal, then you're going to have a dessert, you're killing yourself. You should have a meal. And the most important meal of the day is your first 2 meals, not the last meal. When you sleep at night, you use most of the sugar stores in your body to do your body metabolism when you sleep. When you sleep, you're actually doing an amazing amount of work. So any of us who have sleep disturbances at night, I'm a big one of that, it is the worst thing for your health. You should be going to bed about 10 o'clock at night. The hours between 10 and 2 while you sleep is when your body does the most physical regeneration. Between the next 4 hours is when you do your psychological and emotional repairs. Anytime we shortchange ourselves on either end, over the long haul, it's going to have a big effect on us. And when you're asleep, you do a lot of physical repair, you also do a lot of detoxification. So for those of you who are consistently waking up between 1 and 3 in the morning, either you're going to hypoglycemia, everyone know that term? When you go in low blood sugar, or there's something off in your detox system. In Chinese medicine, that's when the liver does its most active work, when it's between 1 and 3. no, you mean you're trying to, but you're having some kind of imbalances with it. Now, if we couldn't detox, you'd all be dead instantly. I mean, let me get to another point. I know I'm tangential, but I'm trying to cover everything. There's no such thing as a detox diet. That's just, I'm sorry, that's another thing like the health food store. It is a nomenclature to get people excited. If you do this, you're going to get healthy. Well, of course you are, because you're cutting out all junk food. But there's 2 million detox diets out there. If you couldn't detox, you'd be dead. So you're always detoxifying. So the question is, what are the imbalances of each person's detoxification that's going to need support? So the first thing is, well, if you stop eating food, you're not putting any junk in, giving the body a chance to rest, you're not using a lot of the body's juices to pay attention to digestion, you're going to clean out a little better. It's natural. But saunas are a natural way of detoxifying. Exercise is a natural way of detoxifying. Plenty of fluids is another way.
What about those herbs that they have?
Yeah, there are herbs. Herbs are pharmacological. They're usually stronger than vitamins and minerals, but they're not as strong as medicine. They're in that middle range. And again, let's take away the term detoxification for a second. Because your liver detoxifies, your lungs detoxify, your kidneys detoxify, and every cell of every organ has got to detoxify. So it's not like, gee, this cleans everything. So for example, an herb like silymarin, or you know as milk thistle, is a good herb for liver protection and helping the liver be a little bit more effective. Right? That's different than say something like Uber Earthsay, which is a herb that helps with kidney function. So again, I try to get away from that notion of detoxification. People who lack B vitamins in their system, and this is quite common actually in our society. No reason you may wake up at night is because you have low B vitamins, which throws you hypoglycemia. You can't detoxify without B vitamins. You can't. So I try to get away from, again, that notion. Say, okay, let's go back to basics. Go back to eating habits. You should have a combination of protein, complex carbs, and fat at each meal. Now you can do a vegetarian if you want. There's a way of combining things like tempeh and beans and rice. That'll give you a good amount of protein. It'll also give you a good amount of carbs. You're not going to get much fat in it, so I would say use some kind of olive oil or good healthy butter. That's it.
What's the breakfast choice for that?
For vegetarian?
Yeah, oatmeal.
Okay, you can use something like a millet, grind up a lot of nuts and seeds, put a little bit of butter in there. Now that's not going to be a high protein breakfast, but that will definitely match your glycemic index, that'll match that insulin blink. And the odds are, I tell people, probably within an hour or two you're going to be hungry again, so be ready to have a piece of fruit and nuts again. Because protein really is what calms down this hunger process, more so than the carb one. But does that make a choice for you? You could use, I don't eat oatmeal just because I have a bit of a gluten sensitivity. Millet has no gluten in it. So I go with milk when I want a grain cereal in the morning. Yeah.
Colon cleanse?
The throttle colon cleanse?
Well, I was reading our blog today, and there's some colon cleanse, and detox, lots of them down, so like, okay, crack it all out.
Basically, that's true. I mean, there are... No, nothing bad. No, you want it out. You want it out. But again, the question becomes is why that person gets so backed up. So again, first thing patients present me is, I have to look at the eat for 3 days. And what I used to do, before people got a bit annoyed, was I circle every piece of dairy with green, and every piece of sugar with red, every processed food with blue, and at the end of it, it looked like Walt Disney would throw up on the paper, because everything was colored. But everyone believed they were eating healthy. And from the way advertisements have been pushed on us, you are. But it's advertising. And that's the difference. So a meal, 4 ounces of animal protein, 3 to 4 ounces. Fish, buffalo, meat, chicken, turkey, whatever you like. Have about twice that amount of vegetables. Add a little bit of green. And add a small amount